It is time now for another episode of Pottawattamie County Roots. I am Todd Studer. This is Gene Bohnker with Assisted Living Locators. Good to see you. You've been crazy busy.
It's been really busy.
You talked, I think the first time that you came in and were on the show, you were talking about the concept of the silver tsunami.
Correct.
And how the largest portion of our population was reaching the age where they're either looking at just retirement communities, independent living facilities. Sometimes they need more care, all of these things. And as busy as you've been, I think it's a proof.
It's hitting.
You know what you're talking about.
The silver tsunami is here. And that's why I love being an advocate. I love to help people in these times of their journey where they just don't know what's the next step. What do we do? It's National Caregiver Month. And you talk about what is a caregiver? Well, a caregiver for somebody that has dementia, Alzheimer's, is a 24/7 job.
Yeah.
And I want to be there to be an advocate for them, to let them know that there is help out there. And sometimes we don't want to accept any help. We feel it's kind of a weakness. But that's why you need an advocate. Let me help you find out what are the things that we can do to help you. Maybe just giving you some respite, a break during the day so you could go get groceries and not worry about your loved one. So those are some of the reasons why I, as an advocate, can help you find some solutions on that journey that you don't know what's out there.
And that's exactly the point that I was going to talk about, is that we don't know everything that is out there. There are resources. There are different organizations and different facilities and different things to help. But we do need how to navigate all of this is tough.
It is very hard to navigate. And why I've been so busy is I've been getting a lot of calls from the hospital. And when your loved one falls or has an incident where they land in the hospital, then you have to make decisions very quickly. And that's really, really hard. So my advice to all of you that are caregivers or, getting up there in the years, start looking at what options are out there, because of the silver tsunami, a lot of our places that we would want to go and live our second chapter of life, such as an independent community or an assisted living, they're all becoming full. And so the best thing you can do is get on a waiting list, so you have that option when you want to make that choice, and when you don't have to be calling from the hospital saying, I need a place now. So planning for the future isn't always easy, because you don't know what the crystal ball says about your future, but having some options so you can make those choices instead of somebody making them for you.
Now, I want to ask you a question about that, because the way that I understand it is, for many places, when you get on that waiting list, it's not as if when they call, you have to go right then, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But as I had a 93-year-old lady sitting at her farmhouse saying, I am not going anywhere until after this summer. I have all of my plants planted and I want to enjoy the beautiful, the blooming of the spring flowers. And she had the opportunity of her favorite room was opening up in independent living, and she could make that move. And she didn't want to turn down that opportunity. So within 1 month, her family was very much in shock. She has moved into an independent living community. She has sold her home.
Wow.
It took no time at all. It was a great place for a family to move in. She's very happy about that. But she didn't want to lose that opportunity of living in an independent community. So you never know. You never know. If that option is there, do you want to wait another year, and what's going to happen? So she took it and ran.
I think there's a very key word in what you were just talking about, and that is option. In having the option, she got to make the decision.
She did.
She got to make that choice. And this is,
you get it.
When my grandfather went through everything and passed away, I think it was at the age of 91, and he had developed cancer. All the way through, for him, he made the decision of what needed to happen just before the illness made it for him, because he wanted to say, I'm in control. I'm taking care of this. And I had a chance to talk to him just a couple of days before he passed, and to let him know that I have the utmost respect for what he did. And I hope that if and when I am presented with that same situation, that I have the same courage and the same foresight and wisdom to handle it. And also it was uh, so much dignity in
Oh,
my mind
yes.
was attached to that. So you tell the story about this lady, and that's what comes to my mind.
That is so
She
right.
got to make the choice.
And the other thing that I just love seeing her, and that's the joy that I find in my job, is when I can go and see them in these communities thriving, living their best life. I said, "Who's mowing? You don't have to mow anymore." 93, yeah, she probably wasn't mowing. But having all those responsibilities, and now they can just let it go and enjoy their best life as today. And they thrive because they have a community within a community, other people to talk to, other people to socialize with. That's a huge component of what I think our isolation in our rural communities are doing, because our small towns have just kind of shriveled up. Our churches aren't like they used to be. The community centers aren't there. What are our people and our older generation doing in these communities to be with each other? They may have some limitations. They can't drive anymore. How do we help them? How do we keep them, thriving in their life? And
I,
it's a
then plus
concern.
at the age of 93, there's a reasonably good chance that some of her children are retired themselves.
Mhm.
So it, they are just getting into retirement, and now they don't have to worry nearly as much about
Right.
mom.
Right. And then there's this, the children, and sometimes I say our roles reverse. And when I was taking care of my father with Parkinson's, I think I became the adult and he became more of the child. We switched roles because we had to start making decisions for him that, he used to take care of things. He was my dad. And now it's like, okay, we have to make these decisions for you. So sometimes our roles reverse, and it's kind of hard as a child to take over those roles. But I kind of help families navigate some of that and helping them understand that sometimes the doctor can be the bad guy when you have to make these decisions to move forward and getting more care. So there's just a lot of tricks of the trade.
I did. We don't do a pre-interview, so you don't know a lot of these questions that I'm asking. You don't know, but I'm curious about that with your dad. For me, I think it's important in situations like that to remember that, yeah, your roles may have reversed. He's still your dad.
Oh, he's still my dad, and I'm
Yeah.
still his little girl.
Yeah.
But we're in the bathroom, and I have back issues, and he has Parkinson's, and he's like, "This is not what I wanted. If I go down, you go down, and this is not a good ending." And so those are things with his dignity and respect that he doesn't want to have to be in that position. And I don't either. And so those roles reverse to say, okay, how do we get more help? What do we need to do?
And being honest with ourselves and
Mhm.
being honest with our own situations, and look, this is what it is. Now, sometimes things might be temporary,
Mhm.
but not always.
Not
So,
always.
and being able to have that honest conversation, and yeah, I get it. It's tough to accept
Mhm.
as a person. As I have limitations now.
Yep. Yep. And it's very hard when you're the daughter that, has always seen this strong, robust 350-pound farm man, take care of business and shrivel down to being 190 pounds. It's those things that I think I can help relate to other families going through it, because once you go through it and you have to get those steps to what's going to happen next. Just being empathetic to families that are going through that, I think, is my biggest compassion and why I love doing the job I do, and helping them through each step and to be their advocate, to let them know.
Primrose Retirement Community in Council Bluffs believes home should be a place of comfort, connection, and care. From personalized support to engaging daily activities, everything they do is designed to help residents live fully and confidently. At Primrose, that's their priority, to put the quality of their residents' care and daily needs at the top of their list each day and every day. It's not just about where you live, it's about how you live. Learn more about life at Primrose by going to primroseretirement.com and then contact Jamie Bush at Primrose and discover a place that truly puts people first. If you have a leak, a clogged drain, or even if you're planning a big remodel, Waldstein Plumbing in Council Bluffs has you covered. With fast, reliable service and expert craftsmanship, handling everything from small repairs to major installations. They're locally owned and trusted and take pride in doing the job right the first time. Residential or commercial, big or small, when plumbing problems strike, they're the ones to call. Visit waldsteinplumbing.com.
when you're having these conversations with people, how often are you relating back to your own experience and saying, you drawing from that experience and knowing that, okay, I have walked this path before, and so I know it may not be exactly the same path, but it's similar. So
It
you
is
can
similar.
kind of keep an eye out for a few things, right?
You have some empathy, and maybe because of the experiences that you have, you know how to give them the right kind of resources. I pride myself on getting to know the families, getting to know their loved one. Sometimes the families paint a worse picture. Sometimes they plan a glorious picture, and really they need more help and more assistance. So getting to know the family and what their real needs are is how I can kind of interject different ideas and thoughts and really find the best fit and the best type of care that they can possibly get.
When you started this journey that you're on now and doing this, do you feel that you have grown into a different position now, mentally, at least where this is concerned?
Yeah, I think I feel as my old life was helping special needs families and young children and early access and being a teacher. And now I consider myself still a teacher. Part of my job is educating families, educating the community on now it's not just nursing homes we think about having more help for our loved ones. It's independent living, it's memory cares, it's assisted livings that are dementia specific. It's also having home care health companies come in and help their loved ones and not ever have to leave the home. What is hospice? Hospice to me, when my dad had to go on hospice, I looked at the doctor and I said, "Are you giving up on him? Come on." But no, hospice is, I call them guardian angels on earth. They help the family through that death process. So all of those things that I've gone through in my own life, I try to help represent a compassionate person that will listen and have empathy and be able to give the kind of advice and resources for the entire community to help it be a better community with more empathy for caregivers and as people that are ailing and aging. And guess what? You and I might live to be 90 and 100. So we hope we build a very compassionate, empathetic community to embrace us because we have a lot of knowledge to share with these youngsters, don't we?
Yeah, I get to call people youngsters now. I've reached that age. But I think you're aware and know that the folks on the show are aware that it's just been inside of the last 2 months that I lost my grandmother who made it to age 100. And as I was putting together a show for her, and just kind of this is a grandson paying tribute to his grandmother. So you gotta bear with me here. And the show did very well. But there's just certain things when people reach that age, and she was a teacher right out of college. And something that occurred to me, and I talked about it, was some of her students would now be great grandparents themselves.
Wow. Yeah,
That's
you think about that.
yeah. And we need to pay attention
We
to
do.
this generation. And
Yes.
we need to honor them, and we need to sit down and have conversations and learn about where the journey that they came from.
Unbelievable.
My grandmother, when she was a child, they didn't have a car.
Right.
It was horse and buggy. She was born in 1926. Cars did exist, but she lived on a small farm in a tiny little town in central Iowa. And
No indoor plumbing.
no, none of that stuff. And went through a level of hardship that folks today will just never
Understand.
But we need to talk about that, and we need to have those conversations. So in some ways, I'm envious of the career path that you have, because you get an opportunity to be around those folks a lot.
It's wonderful. And I share the story of my grandpa was 99. My grandma lived to be 100, and they were married for 75 years. I mean, that's incredible. But my grandpa farmed with mules, and that's how he started out. And he ended up farming with combines. Look at that wide scope of what he saw in his lifetime. And, our generation's worried about AI. I mean, but look what he saw in his lifetime. My grandma cooked on an oil burning stove and ended up cooking with a microwave. I wish they were here to say, "Oh, tell me some more stories." But in our busy lives, we don't take the time to say, wow, look what you have seen and endured in your lifetime. And it is quite the journey. It is.
And along the lines of what you help people with, my grandmother moved into an independent living facility when she was 91. And that's where she stayed up until the point. And it was just this last 6 months of her life, she had to move to a different wing where she could get some help because it was just, her body was just giving out. But she lived a very full life at that facility in Iowa Falls. And I have multiple paintings of hers
Oh, kind of amazing.
that she did at that stage of her life. That's what she did. She put together scrapbooks for all of the different people in the family, and each one was tailored for that person. There were some common things that were in them, but others were like pictures of me when I was a kid that she had that I hadn't seen. So these are the ways, because she wasn't keeping her house, didn't have to worry about the day to day with that. She could just focus on that, and we all benefited from it.
It is. It's quite a journey, but we need to embrace those days and those years. So, sometimes we worry about, are we getting in the best care? But really all you can do is maybe take more time to spend with them. As you and I know, you lose them and you miss them and you have I wish I would have. Pick up the phone, make a trip, come see your parents, your grandparents, and spend the time with them.
Yeah, and you not have to worry nearly as much in a situation like that. Say, while I have you here, Gene, I wanted to talk. This is not anything that you and I have spoken about on the show before, but we both sit on the board for NAMI Southwest Iowa. And I know that this is something that you're very, very passionate,
You bet.
as I am, and even past NAMI, but just, mental health as a whole and everything that NAMI does to be able to serve folks in a 9-county area. I'm not sure enough people really know the resources that NAMI provides.
They don't.
Now, those are already connected to, but when you can sit down in a peer group and you can talk with folks that are having the same experience as you, it's incredibly valuable. And NAMI takes these groups to where the people are instead of, okay, we need everybody from Clarinda to drive to Neola. It doesn't have to be that way.
They're everywhere. And, they go into the jails and help our people incarcerated, which I think is huge. I also love what they're doing in the school systems. Reaching the kids at a younger age is so beneficial. Give them that support now instead of waiting till they're, older adults and having mental health issues. So, whatever we can do to get the word out, to let people know that it is a great organization. There is a lot to partake in right here. Our Council Bluffs Library offers support groups. So get on their webpage, see what they have to offer, and partake. And definitely we're always looking for ways to keep the programs going by giving your donations and fundraising.
Yeah, all of these things, it's just the way the world works, is it does take money, but there's no charge to the folks that need that,
which is really awesome
and necessary, I think, because if you're going through something that has reached a level that you need to reach out for some assistance, the last thing you want to worry about is an extra bill and some extra check that you have to send out in the mail. So to be able to take care of that, it's why I supported them to the level that I do. It's why when I was asked, hey, would you run for the board? All right, you guys already know. If you ask me a question, the answer is yes, and then we figure out how to do it.
Right.
So I just wanted to visit with you just briefly about that, because I know that it's a shared passion of ours with this. So if you see NAMI out and about, see a booth or something, stop by, say hello, learn a little bit.
Right, and check their website.
Yeah, NAMI Southwest
Iowa.org.
Yeah, that is the one. Well, Gene Bohnker with Assisted Living Locators, thanks for the work you're doing.
You bet.
And thanks for being willing to come in and talk about it, and we can learn more. And sometimes specific experiences like the lady that you were able to help that made the decision to move on, we can relate to that. And we can say, this is one of our neighbors that made this decision and isn't her life a lot better now. So that's what we want to do. We also want to thank our hometown sponsor, that is Rude Awakening in Avoca. So stop in there and get a great cup of coffee from Bella. She would be very happy to see you with that. And hit like, share, follow, even subscribe. All this great information that Gene was just talking about, it helps the algorithm know that more people want to see it, so more people do see it. We're working together in this. That's how that works. And the best part about it is it's completely free. It doesn't cost you a thing to do. All right, Gene, we'll talk to you again very, very soon. And we'll see you next time. My name is Todd Stewart. Hope you have a great day.